Hi, I'm Elizabeth,
Hi, I'm Cindy.
and we're here with another feeding frenzy for the Master Key System. We are on part 5, number 1.
Before we get started, I'm going to read this.
Yeah,
I've already pieced it in there if you want. Is it?
started it.
I thought so, so let's read this and talk about it if we need to. Enclosed herewith you will find part 5. After studying this part carefully, you will see that every conceivable force or object or fact is the result of mind in action. Mind in action is thought, and thought is creative. Men are thinking now as they never thought before. Therefore, this is a creative age, and the world is awarding its richest prizes to the thinkers.
Yes.
Oh, excuse me. Matter is powerless, passive, inert. Mind is force, energy, power. Mind shapes and controls matter. Every form which matter takes is but the expression of some pre-existing thought.
Yep.
But thought works no magic transformations. It obeys natural laws. It sets in motion natural forces. It releases natural energies. It manifests itself in your conduct and actions, and these in turn react upon your friends and acquaintances, and eventually upon the whole of your environment.
Yep.
You can originate thought, and since thoughts are creative, you can create for yourself the things you desire.
Makes sense.
Okay, that was the end of that. We need to cut that out, or...
Okay.
All right, number 1. Ready?
Okay. Yeah.
Number 1, start a new section shortly. At least 90% of our mental life is subconscious, so that those who fail to make use of this mental power live within very narrow limits. Let me try that again. At least 90% of our mental life is subconscious, so that those who fail to make use of this mental power live within very narrow limits.
That makes perfect sense to me.
Okay, we'll explain it, just in case I'm on the wrong.
Explains sleepwalking to me.
Mm.
How people sleepwalk through life. If 90% of our mental processes happen,
Look, spit it out. Apparently yours aren't working today.
if, try this again.
All right. If 90%, go for it. I'm trying to help you.
I know you're trying. I need a lot of help today, evidently. If 90% of our I started out and the thought just, hello, God,
Anybody in there?
that's exactly what I'm talking about. If 90% of our conscious life is spent unconsciously, then there are a lot of people that are still sleeping. Meaning, not using the talents that they have that are inert. You know? We walk around sometimes in an unconscious state, just not consciously thinking about even the next moment, never mind what we want to do with our whole lives. So I can see that 90% of what we do, and when the scholars talking about only using 10% of our brains, that makes more sense to me than the fact that we have this organ that's just there and we just don't bother to use it. They're talking about the subconscious and the conscious mind, and that 90% of us are not using the subconscious mind.
Well, right. They're not using it. They're not using it in the ways he's talking about here. They're not impressing upon it with the conscious thoughts, so that the subconscious is working in the background.
Right.
They're just winging it. And
It's almost like starting out with a computer that's got an unbelievable capacity, and we only use the first little window, you know? And so it's got all of this capacity, and we're only using this little tiny piece, and we're using the rest of it for storage.
Right. Well, it's like using one of today's computers to do what we could do in 1990.
To play Pong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's got all this power, and we're not using it, you know? And he says, those who fail to make use of this mental power live with very narrow limits. So, yeah.
When we don't believe in the capacity, when we don't believe we have anything else that we can tap into, then we stay within those normal parameters. We do our 9 to 5s and we come home and we feel like that's it. That's all I have in life.
Right. So we need to learn this stuff and use it. Not just know about it, but apply it. And try to live by the principles. Not only this, but everything else we learn. so many things we hear about, we read about, we know them here, but we don't move them
Well,
here.
and it
We
also-
use them, apply them.
I don't know about you, but it takes away some of the smoke and mirrors of the science. That we, all of a sudden, we have discovered this great thing. And, you know, some of these things we're thinking, well, duh.
Well, this book
That's
was
the
written a
next
long
step,
time ago, you
you
know?
know?
And they're just now starting to really believe this stuff and use it.
Yeah.
So,
So
the
we're
people
just
that
now-
were really using it then are really
Look
come
at the
along.
rest
Yeah.
of us schmucks going, you're asleep, you're still asleep.
Yeah.
So we're just now starting to scratch into the possibilities of this big computer that we have that we call our brain.
Right.
Now, that's good stuff.
That's very good stuff.
Shreen.